All right, today we're talking about the $10,000 White Mountains bounty. Run the Whites puts $1,000 to $2,000 on 5 of the premier FKT routes in the Northeast: Prezi Traverse, Pemi Loop, Hut Traverse, Mahoosuc Traverse, White Mountains 100 supported and unsupported. Crazy news, big news. I feel like Run the Whites said it's a soft launch, but it feels like a hard launch. Lots of hype behind it already. Lots of takes. So we're going to talk about it all today. I'm just going to go through kind of the rules. We'll go through the bounties themselves, the rules, how to claim them, how to get paid, and then just my overall take on bounties being put on FKTs. I said initially, I think this is epic. I think this is awesome. It's going to promote elite runners to come out. It's going to incentivize elite runners or, fringe elite runners that want to really break through and start maybe potentially getting sponsored, making money in the sport. Come out and put incentives on these routes if you think you can run it the fastest, faster than anyone else. I think it's awesome. A bunch of people think it's awesome. Some people don't think it's awesome. I'll say that. Some people do not think it's awesome. There's been a little bit of backlash, so I'm just going to talk about how I feel about everything, go through maybe some of the points of question, the points of contention maybe, and just give my takes on it. And then at the end, we'll go through each of the routes, each of the records, and we're going to do predictions. We kind of did predictions in the last episode with Lars and Tyler. We recorded that, I think, less than 24 hours after it was announced. So I've had a little bit more time for it to settle in, a little bit more time to do research. And so I'm just going to give my full thoughts on everything. This episode is going to have some hot takes. It's going to have some hot takes. So let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm off on anything. And give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on everything. So that's going to be the bulk of the episode today. I haven't been doing the race recaps as well as I could. I'm going to start lumping them into bigger episodes, like maybe do a month of previews and results. So that'll be coming soon. But, okay, we're just going to jump into the bounty. I guess no history. We'll just go through the rules quick. So like I said, those 5 routes. Now we'll go through the history. I think, obviously, this is kind of like a newer idea, is to put money on routes and on efforts to incentivize people to come out and race and put down hard efforts. I think initially the White Mountains Throwdown started this whole trend where Run the Whites had basically said, hey, we're gonna, we can't host races on these trails. All the AT is unpermittable. You can't cross the AT during a race. You cannot get that permitted. So, I mean, the AT goes through the heart of the White Mountains, the best terrain. So it's this is why all the races either have to be north or south of the AT or east or west, however you want to look at it, goes diagonal through the Whites. This way, if you're looking at the screen. And so anyway, so Run the Whites said, what if it's Andrew Drummond, so I don't know if it's I or we or whatever, the team over there. What if we just tell people, go out and run this route for a month, and we'll pay the top 10, and we'll just see who comes out. And so they started doing that, and obviously, it wasn't a ton of money. I mean, it was actually, I shouldn't say not a ton. If you're paying men's and women's top 1 to 10, sum it all up, it is a lot of money that they're paying out. Obviously, if you don't get the top few spots, you're only getting maybe 20, 50, maybe $100 on the big one. So it's not life-changing money here. But it was a big deal, and so a lot of people came out. And it was kind of a fun, races are fun, but every year the lineup is going to change, who's in it, the conditions, everything's kind of going to change. And they're expensive. They're expensive to do. And so you don't always get the best competition in a single given year. But what this did was you have a month to do it, pick the best conditions, whenever you're feeling best training, whatever, and it's free. We're going to pay you. So I think a ton of people came out and was like, wow, this is sweet. The best of the best in the Northeast started coming out, like some of the top guys, some of the top women, like elite pro runners that are paid to run. And then all the locals who aren't necessarily sponsored paid, but some of the locals in this area, New Englanders, are at that elite speed level and just crushers. So the board started stacking up. Some months were bigger than others, but every month, like, to crack the top 10 is hard. Like, you have to be very fast to crack those top 10s on the men and women's times. And I think the later ones have gotten more competition and goes. So I think that was like, wow, this has been an awesome thing. I don't know if Run the Whites expected that many people to start coming out, like be so excited about it, tracking it, following it. Like people are looking at that segment every day for sure in the month you have to run it. So I think that was a success. And then I think last year, was it last year or 2 years ago? I can't even remember. That's crazy. I think it was last year. Yeah, last year, 2025. Run the Whites put a specific bounty, I forget how much it was, on the Swan Song. And so that's a 30-mile route. And so that was a little bit different than the Throwdown. It was 1 month, go do this route, see who can do the best times. But it wasn't just an uphill effort. I should have mentioned, these Throwdowns have just been uphill time trials. VK has been the longest, so I don't know what there was more, the one to Adams last year was longer than a VK, I think. So, but the 2 hours max for, I don't know, whoever does it. You know, about the fastest time is like an hour 15, I think, has been the fastest time. So it's not long efforts, it's only uphill. And I think the reason that they did that was for a couple reasons. One, just liability. When this started happening, when you put money on things, I don't know how it works. I don't know the legality. We'll get into the full bounty, but if somebody gets hurt, like in a race, you got to sign waivers. So if you're running as hard as you can, you get hurt, you can't sue the company. On these Throwdowns, if somebody gets hurt, I don't know the legality of it. No, obviously, I don't think anybody in this region would try to sue somebody or get money, but who knows? Like, you never know. So you don't want anyone getting hurt, basically, when you're going out and doing these routes, for sure. You don't want people having to get saved or whatever, search and rescue, which we're going to talk about that. We're talking about rescues later. Don't miss the rescues talk. So you don't want anyone getting hurt. And on an uphill effort, I think it's just really hard to get seriously injured. I don't want to, say anything. If it's a super hot day, someone can get heat. If they go super hard, who knows, for an hour. But in uphill running a mountain, I think it's different than just an hour flat race, because uphill you have to be strong. You can't just like in a flat half marathon, someone can get to the finish line and pass out, and you can pass out running up a mountain. But when it's the leg muscles that is like the biggest limiter for this effort, it's hard to redline your body to shut down. Heat stroke is maybe the one big concern, but it's hard. You're not going to have like an injury where you break a leg, hopefully, because usually those things happen on a downhill when you're just bombing wild, reckless on rocks. There's much less velocity and momentum when you're running uphill. So impact injuries are going to be less. And like I said, running uphill is, I think, a pretty safe bet. So I think they looked at it and said, hey, we'll pick uphill only segments. That'll be a pretty safe bet. I don't think anyone's going to get hurt, and I don't think anyone would sue us if we get hurt. 1% chance, 1% chance, multiply that out, 0.01% chance that I get sued. So he's like, yeah, we'll do it. And then it's like, even if you get sued, it's like, I don't even know if it holds up. He just said, it's not a race. Like, I don't know. Go out there. I'm sure on the website, it's like, go out at your own risk. So it was a success. People came out, super exciting. We're paying runners. It was awesome. Then the Swan Song. This effort, the Swan Song is one of the maybe steepest, most technical, most dangerous FKTs in the region. Like, it just links up the craziest trails and the craziest range, the presidential range. And so that was a little bit like, okay, he taking a little bit more of a risk. If you're gonna go rip that, you're taking a little bit of a risk. Ben Nephew, who was like an old school mountain running legend in the region, a billion FKTs, a billion races. I think he put in his Swan Song FKT trip report, this was the most dangerous run I've ever done. And I was scared at some point. I don't know if he said I was scared, but he said it was the most dangerous because you're just bombing down these super steep head wally kind of scrambly stuff. So that was like, all right, a little bit of risk got put in there. I think it was bigger payout. I don't know, $500. Drummond ended up winning it. Was that rigged? I don't know. NBA lottery rigged? I don't know. No, I don't know. That was a crazy time. Drummond put down a crazy time in that effort. I was very impressed. That was very fast. So anyway, this year, the White Mountains Bounty, they announce it on basically, not a month-long bounty. It's forever. Are rolling over each year on the biggest, most well-known, iconic, gnarliest routes in the region, and they're putting big money. So three of the efforts have $2,000. 3 of the efforts have $1,000, and it's not in a month. Do it whenever. We'll pay out. And so this just seems like, you're right in the deep end, stirring up, whatever. You're in the deep end. So there's going to be more reactions, more takes, more hype, everything behind it. And so we'll go through the rules. To get these bounties, you have to basically follow the FKT guidelines. These routes are already premier FKTs in the Northeast, so there's already stricter guidelines about announcing, about all this stuff, yada yada, and so you have to follow all of those guidelines. That makes sense. Submit for the FKT. If they don't verify your FKT, you don't get it. Hopefully, probably. Announcing in advance. This is something that is required. It says on the White Mountains Bounty website, one of the rules. This is already required for, I think at least the Prezi Traverse and maybe some of the other routes on the FKT website that you have to announce, or it's the best practice to announce. I thought this was a little bit unique of a rule because they're going to pay the top people $1,000, $2,000. But then they said for 2nd through 10th, they're going to pay out all time. So they're working on a leaderboard. 2nd gets $200, 3rd gets $150, 4th gets $100, 5th to 10th through 10th gets $50. So I think it's kind of weird. I get if you're going for the FKT, we want to track it. But somebody just wow, I wonder if I can get at the top 10 of a segment. They have to announce in advance. A little bit weird. I think it's part of the whole business scheme of Run the Whites, which we're going to talk into, putting money on routes later. But I think it's obviously it's to get eyes on anyone who is running these segments competitively for time. So that's second rule. Third rule: how to get paid in cash. I don't know when it's on. If it's on, once it's verified, you get paid directly. Who knows? But Run the Whites will pay you, and the bounties roll over each year. So if there's $2,000 on a Prezi Traverse, no one gets either of the Prezi Traverses. Next year, it's going to be worth $4,000. Is that how that works? I think so. It rolls over. And in each year, they have a $10,000 payout maximum total. So this is something I was kind of confused about. The prices roll over, but in a single year, you can only pay out $10,000. So let's just do a hypothetical. Let's say $10,000 worth of routes go down this year. Won't happen. I don't think that's going to happen, but who knows? Let's just say actually no, I don't know. With all the top 10 times, like $200, $200, $300, that might add up. Who knows? Let's say they pay $10,000 out on the year. They're capped at $10,000 a year. So he said that we're going to put $10,000 per year annually. So once you run out of $10,000, it's gone. So the next year, let's say nobody does the Prezi Traverse, but they still paid out $10,000. The next year, the Prezi Traverse is worth $4,000. Is that how that works? Or maybe it's not going to be doubled. It's going to be maybe allocated after. I have no idea. This is I literally have no idea. So maybe I don't know the rules. The rules were very vague. So maybe Andrew Drummond will we'll do a more in-depth, or maybe if he wants to talk about it on the podcast, welcome to talk about it. So I don't know how the rollover works, because then it's like each year, if no one gets the Prezi, does it just keep doubling? Yeah, I guess he never said doubling. He just said rolled over. So if there's any leftover cash, maybe it gets allocated like evenly. So I don't know. Maybe we just talked through that together, or maybe all of you at home already knew that and we're just like waiting for me to get there. So yeah, I think that maybe seems more how it works. So, because I was thinking initially, if no one gets the Prezi, does it double every year, like, or $2,000 every year? Because in 5 years, is that $10,000 on the route? And then one person gets it, the cap's hit? I don't know. Run the Whites in these throwdowns are hitting the luxury cap, the luxury tax. Holy smokes, this is getting big. So there's some sort of rollover effect each year, and if you don't get it, there's an increase in going for it. There's an increased incentive, and so those are the rules. Those are the rules, and so we're gonna really get into my thoughts on everything and some of the questions that have popped up on this bounty. So first off, what do I feel about putting money on bounties? A lot of people got fired up about this. A lot of people are very supportive. Like, this is awesome. This is going to promote more people coming out. I think, going back, Run the White said this is a soft launch. We're going to see how this goes. I thought it was huge news, so I initially made a video. I mean, they posted on their Instagram, which is way bigger than mine. They posted it. And then I saw a couple of people reposted it. It got a ton of traction, so I was like, all right, it's a soft launch, but I feel like I can talk about it. I made a video. It got some eyes on it, and then I saw like Single Track, Jack Kenzel. All these people started reposting it, so I was like, all right, good. I didn't overstep the bounds of the soft launch. I mean, it was a hard launch. It launched. So yeah, so hopefully I didn't. But it's out there, and everyone had takes on it. So putting money on routes, I think it's awesome. I think it promotes, like I said, pro runners coming out, getting more competition in the region. I feel like the Northeast is like always fighting, like, we have really tough mountains. These are tough times. These are hard times. West Coasters looking at it's like, you're running 12-minute miles. Can't be tough, but I'm not going to come try it. And it's like this chip on our New England Northeast shoulders. Like, these routes are hardest in the world. No one knows, but no one will come here. Everyone starts here and then leaves. And so personally, I'm in that boat. I think some of these pro runners out west, some of these even, I mean, European running is definitely a little bit tougher. We just saw that in Western States. Oh, we'll talk about Western States at the end too. We just saw some of that in Western States. They do have crazy technical sky running out there, so they're like big bro, definitely big bro. But everywhere else, keep your mouth shut. Because some of these pros come over and they can't run on technical rocks. They can't run over here. So I don't care how fit you are. If you can't handle the truth, handle the technical and steep mountains, like it doesn't matter what you can do with the fitness. You're walking downhill. So I love when world-class competition comes and runs these routes. Love that we have the Jack Kenzel staple for a lot of these routes and other people. Like, there's just a list of crushers: Katie Scheid, Lindsey Webster, Britta Clark, Jake Aceto, Jordan Fields, Jeff Coate, Hillary Girardi. Names on these, like, I view these as the top of the top mountain runners locally, nationally, and I consider them world class. Like, I just say they can compete with anyone in the world on these mountains in this terrain. And so you have times that you can compare to and say, hey, this is Jack beat a bunch of Killian times, and he still has this. What does that mean? What does that mean? R.I.P. Killian on that Western States. I hope this is not the end for Killian. I hope his knee feels better. He's the GOAT. But so we have these routes, and so it's just going to promote more people coming. And yeah, you have a onesie twosie time like world class. But what if we have a top 10 world class, and then we say, like, holy crap, this is the Pemi Loop is X. That is like the goal. That is the 2-hour marathon. Nobody can break this. Something like that. It's cool, and I think it promotes like legitimacy to our trail runners and the crushers out here. So many fast people that can run on these rocks. So I think it's good. I think it's going to incentivize people to come. Now, a lot of people like putting money on routes. We kind of talked about the business by legality, but a lot of people will say like, why do we have to put money on these routes for people to come? Or like, why do we have to, trail running shouldn't have to put money on for people to come. And I agree with that, but I think like the competitive, I look at like trail running and the competitive side as two different sides of running. Like there's lots of people that go out for races and they just want to finish, and there's a lot of people that want to go and win and set a course record. And so I think some people come from like competitive track backgrounds or sport backgrounds, so they're more the competitive side. And then some people like didn't do competitive sports; they just liked getting out, and then they got kind of fitter and faster. And it's kind of like, they got more competitive, but they've never had the competitive background. So it's kind of like two worlds can come together. And I just think for any high level race or effort or athlete, money gets involved eventually. Competition creates like money, and any of the races like Mount Washington Road Race, it is a business. These races are business. Air Viper Racing, they're a business. Cocodona, the biggest 200-mile race, started as a fun thing. It's a business. Triathlon, like that's a big one. Ironman, like that started out and now it's just a full business. Some people don't like it. Spartan, OCR racing, it started cool, like these niche people, turns into a business. It's kind of like just the progression. And I don't know, I don't know how to feel about it. Like personally, I'm on that more competitive side, so I want the eyes on it, and I want the spotlight, and I want the money. That's kind of like what I want to get to push everything to the limit. And some people just don't want that, which I totally get. Like I do understand, like, it's just like putting money on this stuff. It's just kind of like, I just don't like it. I'd rather be a purist. And I understand, like, when I'm on the trails, it would be cool if nobody was wearing watches. Everyone out on the trails were just like loving it, doing it for the love of the game. That I love that. And I think if I was born 50 years ago, I would still be one of these people ripping around. Like, I think it's cool. But nowadays with social media, everything, like it's the way that it kind of goes. So that's what I think about putting money on routes. And then the other thing is, FKTs don't need money on them. Like FKT should say kind of personal challenges. FKTs aren't races. Like it's different. Like, yes, have your races, make money, charge people $bazillion to get into a race. But FKTs are a personal, like, let's just let those be. I agree with that in a sense, but I disagree in the fact that these premier routes are already, you have to be an elite, sponsorable, can make money in the sport athlete to get these routes. Like these premier routes, they're already premier on the FKT website, which is blown up, hasn't been monetized. They're already done by these athletes. Like no person going to set a personal challenge on the Pemi Loop, the FKT Traverse, can do these times. Like just somebody, so it's like that ship has sailed for at least getting these FKTs. Now, obviously, these are 5 premier FKTs. If Drummond were to incentivize every FKT, there's 100 in the whites. If he were to do that for every single one, and then you're stealing these little back 1 yard, then I can see that more. Like, but he's not. He's already the ones that have all the eyes, that are already getting all the action by the competitors. Those are the ones we're picking out and highlighting. So that's kind of like what I think there. And the other thing is, even if you don't like money on these routes in general or an FKT, like it's just silly, sponsored runners are getting paid by brands to go out and win races, compete at races, and now set big FKTs. FKTs are lumped into contracts with sponsored pro runners, where you got to do 2 or 3 races a year, and if it's a big FKT, you can do that. So behind the scenes, this is already happening. If there was a guy or a girl who could definitely get these 3 FKTs, and they went to a brand and said, kind of like what Jack did back in the day, but they knew they could get the FKTs, I'm going to do this year. That's what I'm going to do. They'd be like, perfect, good. These routes are huge, bunch of eyeballs. We're going to make money. You're going to get a kind of ton of publicity. We're going to validate your contract. We'll pay you. So what Run the Whites is doing is it's like the reverse. Not one person is sponsored to do these routes. We're just going to, whoever does them, we'll give them money. So that money incentive is already there for athletes. Like, this is already happening right now. I think some people who aren't into the trail running scene or racing scene as much, they just don't know that. So there's already money on these routes, people. Already money on these routes. And this is just Run the Whites opening the gates to anybody. And so I think it's kind of cool because there are a lot of people in my boat and in that not pro runner, getting to elite fitness, really, training like an athlete, trying to get the best out of themselves, that would love to be sponsored and get money to support themselves and support their training and their gear. Now it's like, okay, if you prove you're that, boom, we're gonna give you money. So that's why I think it's awesome. It's awesome. Like, inclusivity in the sport, I think this is being more inclusive to elite runners, not recreational runners. Like I said, leave those 97 FKTs or 95 FKTs out of it. But for the top runners only going for these big times, boom. So that's what I think about the routes. And like I said, these routes, I think, are the pinnacle of Northeast trail running. I look at these routes as more competitive, more epic than a lot of the races. I really do. And so I think the value is being matched to like how cool these races are and how big of a thing it means to get this record in these FKTs. So I love it. And I think it's great. And I said this in the video too, so I didn't repeat it. Like, I didn't want to repeat it too much, but I think what Run the Whites is doing is awesome. I think they are making a massive investment into competitive trail running in the White Mountains, and I've talked highly about White Mountain Endurance. I think they did that on the race side very big. Run the Whites obviously has done that a little bit, like Bubba's last year standing, massive races, and now they're doing this on a bigger scale. They're just investing more into fast elite competition, and I like it. So good on Drummond. So that was kind of like the money thing out, leaving the elites out. Personal challenge. So we talked about all that stuff. What the heck does this say? Oh, this is a side comment. Oh yeah. This is a side comment. How much money? So I don't know if people have done this before. Like, I haven't done any research, but like, is there any bounties other than those, sponsorship contract things? Like, if you do this, we'll pay you on FKTs. How much would the Appalachian Trail FKT bounty get to? How would and I guess this leads us into the next conversation about the business side. How much money would somebody put on the Appalachian Trail? Tara Dower, everyone knows, like superstar, makes companies lots of money. That's why she's sponsored, getting paid six figures. Probably, I bet Tara Dower's making close to $1 million a year now with sponsorships. I don't know. That's pretty high. But I think on Single Track they said there are some people touching that 7 figures in terms of everything they do. And so so massive. What would a company pay if they could secure a 40-day plus journey on the AT getting this this record? What would the biggest companies? And it's like, they're not risking if you fail. They only give it to you if you make it. I don't know. Are people going to do that? Was the AT going to fight back? I don't know. Some of this route is on the AT. Is there going to be pushback? I don't know. But it's like, wow. What would the $10,000, $20,000? I don't even know, Are other regions going to start doing this? I think probably. I think somebody comes along and probably does start copying this. So it's the start of a little bit of a unique path here. And gave kudos to Run the Whites in investing. They're investing in people. They're not getting any, they're not getting a return. Like, if you sponsor an athlete, you're going to get a return like, hey, we wore this or I have to post about, or all this stuff. This is no direct return to Run the Whites. They're just giving you money. But obviously, there's a business aspect of, it's kind of this is something that I've been thinking about. On one hand, you're fostering like competitive running in the White Mountains, helping poor aspiring pros out. That's Jeff's language. So you're helping runners that maybe can't fund, poor trail runners that are really, really fit and like help bring them up kind of. But then on the other hand, it's like Run the Whites is kind of in a sense like claiming these routes a little bit, and they're going to see monetary return, and it's not direct, so it's hard to say, but if you have to post, even if you're going for a top 10 time, live tracking link, I don't know if Run the Whites is always going to repost that. I don't know how it's going to work, but they're getting, it's like, not like they're claiming it. Like, this is something I'm going to kind of talk out right now with you guys. It's like, they're not promoting the runner, but they kind of are sponsoring people. So it's like anyone who goes these routes in a competitive manner, they're getting a little bit of that. Run the Whites is getting a little bit of the viewership, kind of, right? Or the little bit of the publicity in a weird way, like not directly, and I think you could definitely argue against it, but in a sense, I think yes. So it's like, can other brands do this? Like if I wanted to throw in money, if a random person wanted to throw in money and kind of get that, would they be, hey, I'll put X amount of money? I don't know. Is it going to become a community pot of bounties? The Pemi Loop is the Pemi Loop. And does it like, the Jigger Johnson race runs through White Mountains Endurance. They came up with they permanent Christina Rem back in the day. They put in the work. They did all this thing. They made it happen. It's their race. Now it's Aravaipas, and it's all funnel. Like, that makes sense to me. But the Pemi Loop, the FKT Traverse, all these, there's one little weird part of me that I feel about that, and that's the weird part. But before you guys start freaking out at me, I am doing a very similar thing. Like the podcast, I'm not paying people, which is totally different, but I'm talking about these routes. If I posted the clip the other day of a FKT Traverse, I've never talked to Jack. I don't know. And it's like, you could say I'm getting views or from him. So I'm kind of claiming it like that route in a weird way. Like in my eyes, I'm more like trying to promote these routes, kind of like Drummond is. But like, hand up, I'm doing the same thing. So like, I like this innovation. And as a businessman, I own a business. I think it's genius, right? It's like it's smart. It's smart investing. It's matching value. So it's like this whole part of this whole scheme of things. I don't know if you guys are gonna hate this talk. It is a lot of ranting. We're gonna get into the times, but I'm just gonna say everything I think about it. So, like exploiting. I already get comments about that. Are you exploiting these epic routes? Like, there's a little bit of crossing that purity line. There was a comment, pimp the whites. That actually got taken off of Instagram. Like, I don't agree with it at all, but I can see a little bit of like, oh, I'm going to make money and claim it. I don't know. So that's like kind of like the everything I think about the money on the routes. Now, the legality of this, I talked about, oh my God, this tick, did this tick just climb on my truck? Oh my God, this tick has this defense mechanism where it's like, I'm trying to pick it up, but I can't. Okay. Oh man, that means there's a ton of ticks around here. Okay, good to know, good to know. Tick check, tick check. Ticks are getting scary. I'm getting more scared of ticks. The legality of it. When you have a race, you permit it through the Forest Service, wherever your race runs through. You have people sign waivers. There's documents. I don't know if there's lawyers. These companies, Aravaipa for sure has a lawyer. But this bounty, I don't know. Is it even legal? It seems fairly legal. Like, I don't know. The AT may have some like crazy rules, but Drummond he owns a bunch of businesses. He's been doing this on different sports, running, skiing, biking. He hosts different events, races, not these throwdowns, FKTs, bounties. I would assume he's done the research and been like, it's legal to do this. I'm going to do it. Like, I don't think that they're going to get shut down. Like, somebody's going to hear about it and try to like shut it down. Because I would assume that Run the Whites has done the due diligence. So it seems like it's a weird, you can't permit a race, but you can put lots of money on FKTs on the AT. because like some of these is just the AT. The Whites 100 is fully the AT. Hut Traverse, like there's lots of big sections on the ATV. The ATV, the AT. So I don't know what the AMC is gonna do. We'll see how this unfolds. I will say that I have this little gut feeling that if you were to ask me, is this going to be happening in 10 years? I don't know why, but I don't think it's going to get shut down. Like, I would assume it's all good, but there's just a little piece of me that, like, I don't know. It's like the first time someone gets hurt, I don't know. Which we're going to talk about getting hurt. There's a little piece of me that doesn't feel like this is going to be forever, or that there's going to be some sort of thing, but I don't know. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that little piece of me, but I'm pulling that little thing out of my gut, and I'm just trying to analyze it. It just seems like there's going to be people out to shut this down. But I hope that it doesn't. I really do. I mean, and selfishly, I hope no one touches these routes the bounties build, and in a few years, like selfishly, I hope this does not get shut down. But that rolls us into safety. This is the first thing when hikers see people trail running or doing speed efforts, or especially getting money involved. Oh my God, search and rescue is going to be off the chain. Search and rescue is going to get called. There's going to be called some search and rescue. They don't have the budgets for this, all of this stuff. And here we go. I cannot stand, and I don't want to group everyone into this, but we're going to do it a little bit. I cannot stand when a small subset of hikers see people running really fast in the mountains and say, unsafe, you're going to get rescued, this is crazy, you should not be doing this, just blasphemy. Cannot stand it, because it's like this, it's like this gotcha. They are foaming at the mouth for a trail runner to get seriously hurt and need rescue. And it's like this gotcha thing that they want to, oh my God, I'm just sitting back with my popcorn. The first guy, someone breaks his leg or really rolls an ankle and can't get off the mountain safely and has to get rescued. I am just so excited. I'm going to be gotcha online. Could have told you this. It's like they're waiting for people to get seriously injured on trails. I think, settle down. I'm not even halfway through this rant. Settle down, Andrew. I think that is horrible. I think it's terrible. And I think I don't mess with those people personally. And I do agree that there's a risk going into the mountain, but if you are rooting for that to happen, I can't wait for, dude, I think that is horrible stuff. And let me just tell you this. I don't know the stats, so I shouldn't throw off on the stats, but people see these people flying on trails and like, you got to be safe, be careful. For someone to go after these 5 routes, they have had to, for sure, spend thousands of hours training, years training for the fitness and the trail running skill, like thousands of hours running on these trails already. And their fitness is at a level that you cannot comprehend how much fitter they are than you, how much more skilled they are than you. What they're doing is more comfortable than if you went out there and really pushed yourself trying to PR a hike. Like, it is these people running these fast times, it is easy for them to run in the mountains at a speed that you cannot comprehend. So they're more skilled and comfortable than probably those people going out and doing a fast time on their end. So like, it's like people don't even understand it. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, like, it seems insane. Even when I talked about it, I was like, oh, people are going to be going out there wild and reckless. I don't as much mean throwing themselves into a situation where they're going to get hurt. I would going from a summit to the base of a mountain as fast as you can is is dangerous. I shouldn't say very. It is dangerous to like really go 100%. But on all these routes, the shortest route is 3.5 hours. You cannot sprint for 3.5 hours. You can't sprint for 3.5 hours. So it's like when I say wild and reckless, I'm more talking aerobically. Oh my God, this guy split a 6:00 gap for the first 3 miles. That is insane. He's going to blow up. His muscles are going to shut down. Not like he's going to just die because he's running too fast. Because most of the time is on the uphill. And it's like, when I say wild and reckless, I just mean like how Hans Troyer ran Western States. 18 minutes ahead of the course record, like 30 miles in, 40 miles in. This guy is going for it. Hauling A. So that's what I mean more by wild and reckless. On a hut traverse, on the White Mountains 100, you can't even run, like, these athletes are so comfortable at that pace. It's can they hold it for 26 hours? So that's like, that's my kind of rant there. And then in the last piece, I don't know the statistics. I don't know the stats. But every article, there's another thing I want to talk about too. This has been a very, like, I got a lot of hot takes. This has been a little bit of this is going at, we're going to get into like fun. The first half of the episode is more like my thoughts. We're going at the haters. And then the second half is just going to be going through the times and making predictions. So, I don't know the stats, but all the stories that I see of people getting rescued are unprepared hikers. I think once you have the fitness and the knowledge to be a trail runner, I just think you can get off mountains quicker. You can handle, you know a little bit more. So like a new hiker is much more likely to need to get rescued than a new trail runner. Like a new trail runner is probably a very experienced hiker. So are the stats more hikers get rescued than trail runners? I know a couple trail runners that have gotten rescued over the years. There's probably more stories, but a million times more hikers. And side note, going at haters, or actually no, not at haters. I don't love, like, this is why I don't love the news. Like, it's all just bad stories because bad stories just sell more. I don't like how every rescue is like blasted on social media and news outlets. I don't like it. I don't think it's like anytime someone gets hurt or dies in the mountains, it's like there's a handful of people that are like foaming at the mouth to write about it and report it. And it's like, yeah, you can spin it. You're trying to help people and let people awareness, but like, I don't know. Maybe it is because it gets more views, so more people are aware of it, and then you can put your be prepared stuff in there. But like, I would just love to see more content like, hey, bring this on a trail, be prepared. I don't know. It just seems kind of crappy. No one's going out there to plan to get rescued. It's not fun to get rescued. No one is planning for that. Like, it's kind of a little bit of a kick in the butt when you just immediately jump on that and say, this guy's an idiot. So I don't like that. But anyway, those are all my thoughts on it. Those are all kind of like the how I feel about it, the safety talk, all of this stuff. So, did I even finish my last train of thought? Like, where was I going? Wild and reckless. Yeah. So I don't think, I don't know. God, I hope no one gets rescued. Hope I didn't just jinx anything. But yeah, just more comfortable. And I don't like people rooting for no rescues. That being said, obviously, if you're interested in, this is my safety pitch. If you're interested in staying safe on the trails, go to New Hampshire, fishinggame.com, the 10 hiking essentials, bring it with you when you go out on the trails. Boom. Okay. So I think that was everything I wanted to talk about as far as like what the bounties is, my thoughts on it, hot takes, all this stuff. Now we're going to get into some fun things, and we're going to talk about each of the routes and what do I think about, the lower hanging fruit. We kind of talked about this last episode. Did I mention this last episode? Yeah. Oh yeah, Jeff Colt was like, yeah. I mentioned that. No low hanging fruit on this stuff, but we'll go through each of the routes. We're just gonna go chronological order. Prezi Traverse, 18 miles, 8,500 feet a game, one of the most well known, $2,000. So there were 3 routes with $2,000 on them, which I'm gonna talk about. Was a little bit curious how they did the 2,000 versus 1,000, but the Prezi's $2,000, the Hut Traverse is $2,000, and the White Mountains 100 was $2,000. Right off the rip, just speaking facts every Jack Kenzel record has a $2,000 bounty, and every non-Jack Kenzel record has a $1,000 bounty. I agree in the sense that Jack Kenzel is a world-class runner and like the highest bar, so like the 2,000 makes sense. I shouldn't say probably, if I had to pick three for 2003 I would put the Prezi, the Pemi, and the Hut Traverse as the 2000. I'm kind of curious as why the Pemi Loop is only 1,000, because Jack did have that FKT and it got beat. I think it's been more run. I don't know if that's like we think this is softer. I don't know if it's like we think that it's closed for the year and next year it's going to be open, so maybe we put $2,000 next year. Not sure. But the Prezi, the Hut Traverse White Mountains have 2,000. The Pemi, the unsupported White Mountains 100, and the Mahoosuc Traverse have 1,000. So a little bit less money. I think that that's just saying that the more expensive ones are more competitive and a higher bounty. Like that's just off the rip. So, but for me, like, I don't know how the White Mountains 100, I get Jack's time. Like, Jack's time is really, really solid on that, obviously. Like, just a crazy effort on that route. But his goal was 24 hours, and he was 2 hours off of that. And it's the least run route out of all of these, probably. So I thought that was a little bit curious, but I do think, like, it is one of the most epic routes. Like, I think it's the most epic 100-miler, maybe in the country, maybe in the world. So, like, I also don't hate it. I think maybe if I was Jake Aceto, who has the Pemi 532 unsupported, I would be like, I'm not worth $2,000. I'm not worth $2,000. Like, I'd be Jack Kens's record. I'm not worth $2,000. Jordan Fields has the supported 527 on that, but it doesn't count. So there's a little bit room to go. But, like, the Pemi was super competitive. All right, I'm rambling. I'm going to go through each of them. The Prezi. I think the men's Prezi time is probably one of the most fastest, and I think everyone agrees it is the most fast. Jack Kenzel, 331, 1144 pace, a 720 gap. It is so fast. This is the second time he set the FKT. I was wondering if you set the FKT and reset it, can you get the bounty? Like, can Jack go out there and get this bounty if he reruns it? Because he did that already once for the Prezi. I don't know if that wasn't not in the rules, but that route is that time is so fast. I think it's the most stout time out of all of them. But the thing about it is, maybe one other time is as stout, maybe two. But the thing about it is, it's one of the ones that I think could go down this year. Dan Kurtz mentioned he was looking at it. Lars Hogney is gonna run it, is looking at it. Jordan Fields moved back to New Hampshire. Jack Kenzel is always in the mix. Like, does he want $2,000? Who knows? There's like a handful. David Sinclair has looked at it. I think he said it would take him months to train for it. It's really, really fast. Like, he doesn't even know if he can get it, which shows how stout that route is. But there's a handful of guys that actually can do it, and there's a couple that are gonna do it this year. So it's like, I think Dan Kurtz, if there's somebody to do it, it's probably Dan. I really hope he goes after and races it hard. So it's like the most stout, but it might get broken this year. Lindsay Webster has the women's on this, 433, 15 minute per mile, 930 gap. I think the women's time, there were like three people real close. Britta Clark, Jess Marion, Lindsay Webster, all within a few minutes. So that just kind of tells me that one of them can kind of break through. Like, you can probably shave 2 minutes off a 4.5 hour time if you really train for it. Like, there's already a few people right there that can do it. The men's, like, no one's even got close. It's Jack, it's Jordan. I don't think anyone's under sub 4 during the non-winter. That was another rule. Cannot be in the winter. So I think Jack's is really strong. I think Lindsay's is very strong. Like, Ivan's is very strong and probably won't go down, but I know there are a couple women in the whites that can't do it. So we'll see, but I think Jack's a little bit stronger. The Pemi, like I said, 29 miles, 9K. This one's a little bit weird because Jordan had the unsupported. He started with a buddy and then he ran the FKT and he ran 527 off of like a peanut butter sandwich, which is like so crazy. A bunch of people have gone after the Pemi time. So Jake Aceto has the supported 532. Jordan Fields, 527. And then within 5 minutes, Jack Kenzel ran a 536. Matt Chorney ran a 530-something. David Sinclair ran a 530-something. David Hedges ran a 530-something. like 6 people are all within that range, which means like, yes, it's very fast, but on a good day, I think they can break through. Jordan ran at 5:27 and says he thinks it can go 5 hours, which is so crazy. But I think this is one of the most competitive, but no one has just had that breakthrough day yet. So I think this one can go faster. I think that's why it's $1,000, but I do think it's a little bit meh. I think that one should be 2,000. And then the women's time, Britta Clark, 6:31. I think that's super fast. 13:29 overall pace, 9:40 gap. Oh, Jake Casito's time, 11:09 pace, 8:07 gap. The thing with the Pemi that you have to remember, though, is you have Lincoln Woods. So you have, like, coming off of Bonclef or going up to Bonclef, plus the extra mile at the end or the beginning of the going to Osseo, you have, like, 6-7 miles of really flat, really runnable trail that obviously brings down the paces on that time. So it's something, I don't know, it's kind of just something to think about when you compare it to these other efforts, the gap, the route, the overall stuff. Pemi Loop, I think not a lot of women have gone through the 6:31. I think the Pemi Loop's going to be tough, but I think that there's a handful of people that can clearly do it, and I think it takes one of them with this bounty to go after it to do it. Can't be done this year. The Pemi is shut down for the year, so it has to be next year. I think the Pemi will get broken, but I think there's less incentive. There's half the incentive of some of these other routes, so maybe it holds out a little bit longer. Who knows? I don't know how much, like, I think $1,000 is sweet. I think $2,000 is sweet. The Hut Traverse, 45 miles, 16K. I think I saw a couple things like this will definitely go down. It's a 2,000 on the route. I don't know if these are going to go down. I truly do not know if these are going to go down. Jack's time is super fast. I think if he didn't have that wrong turn, like he had a wrong turn, it cost him 10 minutes. So boom, right there's 10 minutes on the route. But I think that people are going to be shocked. Like I got out on that route. I was shocked. There's going to be people much fitter than me. But Jack's time is fast in the beginning. It's okay in the middle with that 10-minute gap. And then he closed so hard. Like he closed so hard over Garfield Ridge and up to Lonesome Lake that I just think that you cannot go in there thinking that that'll be easy. You have to have you got to have a full day start to finish, and you got to be super, super fit. His overall time on that was 12:47, 9:02 gap, which is crazy. And then Katie Scheid, 12:23 overall, a 15:22 gap, and a 15:22 minute per mile pace, and a 10:53 gap. That was estimated. Katie Scheid's obviously best in the world. Hut Crew, old Hut Crew. So she's familiar with the mountain. She has that top end fitness. She did it a little bit before she really started just dominating the ultra scene. So she's probably fitter now. But as far as someone with the fitness and the technical ability, Katie Schei's pretty tough to beat. So it's like $2,000 seems pretty good to me. Out of all of those top three, I think the Pemis are probably, I think the women's Prezi, the men's Pemi, and then probably those two out of those three that I think are on the most beatable side. But all of these are really, really tough. All of these are really, really tough. I think it's like, what's the lowest hanging fruit? There's no low hanging fruit. All of these routes are there's a tree, 1 million skyscrapers up, 1 million floors up. It's a big skyscraper, and there's like 2 apples that are an inch lower than the rest. People are going to get on these routes and just be like, oh my God, this looked easy from afar. This is not easy. I need to, like, all of these routes are so insane. All these athletes, these times, so insane. Just unbelievably insane. I don't think any of these are going to go down easy. Like, I just see people saying like, these are going to go down easy, and nothing is going to be easy. The White Mountains 100, 95 miles, 34,000 feet of climbing. This is a newer one. Like I said, the supported times are 2,000, the unsupported are 1,000. So Jack Kenzel, 26:09, so fast. Kara Baskin, women's, 34:12. That's the supported times. And the unsupported Austin Black, 34:49. And then the unsupported women's Whitney Pearson, 53:10. Looking at this list, I do think the men's times are a little bit faster. just because I think, I don't know. I will say this. We'll go through them all. Jack's time, 26:09. So fast. It's a 16:58 overall pace, an 11:30 gap over 95 miles, 34,000 feet. I'm seeing his goal time was 24 hours. If you look at his race, he started out so hot. Like, he started out like 8-minute gaps or something, like 8 to 9-minute gaps for a long time. I do not, and his overall gap was 11:30. I think obviously he paced it for a 24-hour and he didn't get there. So based on the 24-hour time, he went out too hot. I think obviously if you run it smoother, there's time to make up there, like, 25:30, 25, who knows? I think 24 hours, there's been a lot of people saying this will go sub 24. It's definitely going down White's 100 supported. I think that you guys are out of your mind. Out of your mind. I don't think anyone looking at the White Mountains 100 think it's easy is going to get it. Out of your mind. First off, it's a massive effort. You have to train for it. Totally massive effort. I think the reason why it looks maybe a little bit slow is because he had that 24-hour goal, and it's an 11:30 gap. But I just think, guys, it's 11:30, grade adjusted pace, elapsed. Over 100 miler, I don't know how, over 100 miler, you have a lot of downtime you have to minimize. So yes, you have to go fully supported, so you got to get a good crew. But I think people just go out on an easy run and run an 11:30 gap and think like, God, that is not fast. Like, this is going down. It's easy for just an average runner, even a really fast runner, to be like, I haven't ran an 11:30 easy gap in the Whites in 3 years. Like, that's an easy time. Wait until you are 70 miles in, going downhill on these descents, and tell me it's an easy time. Like, I think people have no idea. I don't know if it's like lack of 100-mile experience or I don't know. But I think people are in for a rude awakening thinking that 26:09 is easy. I think that is blazing fast. I think it's definitely, like I said, there's room to make up. Jack did it fully supported. Pacer with him. He didn't have any people muling him for the first half-ish is what I've kind of got. But getting muled for most of it, paced for the whole thing, I think that time is so good. He trained for it 26 hours a week he ran it once. It wasn't his first attempt. It was 2 attempts. So you had that learning experience. He ran 20. So unless you're running 26 hours a week in the Whites, able to recover from that, your fitness is the best in the world. You have a full supported crew and you've tried it once. You've been on this. You know the route. Calling it easy is just blasphemy. Absolute blasphemy. So, the only thing, like, you have to have all those things and then pace it well. So I think to sneak under 26 is going to be doable. Like 3:31 on the Prezi seems so crazy. 26:08, if you pace it smoothly, seems more doable. But to blow that out of the water into 24 hours is just, I think that's insane. The day that someone goes sub 24 on the White Mountains 100 is one of the greatest 100-mile mountain feats of all time ever. You heard it here first. So that's my thoughts on there. Going down the list, Karabaskin, 34:12. Like, 8 hours off the men's time, so obviously there's a decent gap here, but I think this time is also so fast. Nothing easy about this time. So I do think that, like, $2,000 on these times, like, it is warranted. Because the other thing is, even if you're fit enough, you're trained enough, you can do it. Think about training, recovering, and executing 95 miles, 34,000 feet of climbing over this cheese grater of a region and thinking that that's easy. You spent more money in gels, gas, bribing pacers. I said this in a comment. Gels, gas, bribing pacers, post-race therapy than $2,000. Nothing easy about it. And then Kara's time, it was supported. She's super fast, gritter. I think she's a grid finisher, so she has technical experience. That is so solid. Somebody beating that time, it's going to take a ton. So nothing easy about these times. Austin Black's unsupported 34:49. Unsupported, this is crazy. I think this is one of the toughest times on here. I truly do. Unsupported on this is crazy. Eight and a half hours slower than Jack's time, but carrying all his food, no supporters, no pacers, no crew. Like, that is crazy. So, I mean, that one I think is going to stand for a long time. And then Whitney Pearson, 53:10, so over 2 days on the unsupported. I think this one is obviously a huge gap, and this one will get brought down for someone who wants to do it, but it's so hard. First off, Whitney's a badass. She's done these efforts. I think I've heard after working 12 hours in the middle of the night. She's ran an ultra pregnant, I think. Like, she is just an absolute grinder. She got all these kids, and she still just crushes these routes. So, like, that time is still amazing. It's going to take the right person. Like, there's only, I feel like, a few people that even can want to do this stuff. And like I said, for $1,000, consider it spent before you do it, because you got to spend a lot of money on that stuff. So I think there's a little bit of room in the White Mountains 100 range, and it's the least amount race, so like you just need more finishers to kind of get more competitive times. But I think the big thing about the White 100 is nothing easy about doing those 100 miles. More DNFers than finishers. If you think that's easy, yikes. The Mahoosuc Traverse, a $1,000 one, which I think is accurate because I think it's a lesser raced one. It's a little bit lesser known and a little bit less competitive as far as competitive people going after it. But the women's time, Hillary Girardi, 7:16. This may be one of the best times on this entire sheet. If you look at the gap, a 10:20 gap, the Pemi Loop's a 9:40, the Prezi is a 9:30. But this one's more climbing. It's 28 miles, 11K, more climbing, no Lincoln Woods, no gimme 6 miles, more remote. You got to bring in more stuff. There's less huts, there's less access. Like, that time is so solid. I think Jack's Prezi, Mahoosuc Hillary, and then probably Jack's, maybe Hut Traverse. Jack's Prezi, Britta's Pemi, and Hillary's Mahoosuc Traverse, and maybe we'll throw in Jack's White Mountains 100. I think those are the 4 hardest. Now, I'm not saying they won't go down the first, because I think there are people that are fit to do them, like that fit the ballpark, but those are the fastest, most impressive times to me, I think. So super fast. And then we talked about Jeffco last week. A little bit disrespectful, I think, looking back at him. It's an 850 gap. I think that the technicality for every mile is going to be very, very hard. Like, it's like a Garfield Ridge for the whole 28 miles. Very, very slow miles, and to run that gap is very hard. I think just because there's not a big gap between the women's, you get a Hillary, somebody, and it could be Jeff. Like, Jeff has the fitness and the background to do it. I think if he has a gem day, like, I haven't listened to his, I should have listened to his recoup on From the Backcountry. I don't know if it was like his epic day, his best day, or if he trained for it a bunch, but I do think there's time to be made on that one. So I think Lars literally was like, I might go do this. So I think Mahoosuc, like, in my books, like, I would try Mahoosuc for sure. Obviously, I gave the Hut Traverse one crack. I'm going to do that again this year, but like, I would try Mahoosuc. That's definitely on my list. Like, I want to get out there and give a full effort eventually, so that just gives a little more incentive. But so those are my thoughts. Those are what I think about all the routes. Those are what I think about the races. I love the initiative. I think it's going to bring more people out. Like I said, if you want to go after these times, you need to do it soon, because this is another thing. I think June is going to be a massive month to run these, because if you have a 10K each year, the beginning of the year is going to be the best time to go get it, right? It's going to be the biggest bounty, and it's going to be the easiest time. So I think there's going to be more June goers in September. I think there's going to be a lot of joke goers in general, but I think, how many of these do I think are going to go down this year, 2026 trail season? What do I think? My initial thoughts on the 3 big routes, I thought 1 would go down, the 4 big routes. If you throw in Mahoosuc, the 5 routes, and you throw in the unsupported White Mountains 100, I think, See, this is the thing that I'm like curious about. Are pros going to come out? Because how quickly is it going to take pros to come out? Because if the bounties grow every year, let's just say hypothetically they keep growing and some of these get to $10,000, $20,000. No one touched it for 5-10 years. Eventually, you're going to get the best mountain runner in the world, Vincent Bouillard, whoever you think it is, Killian, Hans Schroer, I don't know if he's a more technical guy. They're eventually going to come out. Like, it will happen, right? So eventually we're going to have the Killian of that time come out when the bounties don't get touched for long enough and they grow and grow and grow if this keeps going. So it's kind of like cool. I like that. Like, eventually, if you have $50,000 on a route, the best mountain runner in the world will come out, will spend a few months, they'll run it, they'll collect their cash, and they'll go home. So we're trending towards getting the best runner in the world here if we can keep the bounties up. So I think that's cool. But how long will it take? Because a pro runner, 1,000, is 1,000 enough? Okay, so 2,000 is a little bit better. But if David Sinclair's got to spend months training for it, is he going to do that? I don't know. So I don't know. I really don't know. Like, to get the big, those best in the world are racing the biggest races to get the biggest contracts and sponsorships. So who knows? But my prediction, I think this year, so there's only 4. Okay, so I have to remember that. There's only 8 routes that can go down. I am going to say I think 3 routes go down this year, no more. And I think a lot of people are going to think that's low, and I even think it could be high. It depends. It depends on who we bring out. This is the thing. Like, I'm going to be excited to see. I think if we break 4 or 5 of these records, the best, it's like Dan Kurtz came out, Jack maybe came back, Sinclair came and definitely ran one of them, Lindsey Webster, Britta Clark, Grace Connolly, Caitlin Patterson. These names are coming out. I don't even know how, like, the women's field. I don't even know in Western states in the top 10 women who would come out and run. It's like Katie Scheid's the only person with a background here. Like, we need one of those women, the fittest in the world, to come out and run on these rocks. But I think if it happens, those are some of the names. And there's David Hedges, Matt Chorney, like any of the people who mentioned, Jordan Fields, all good names. Yeah, it's going to be exciting, but those are my predictions. Those are my thoughts. This episode got a little bit, hopefully it wasn't negative in the beginning. I really was like trying to combat the haters, but talk about like how I really feel about everything. Western States talks to end us off. What a year for Western States. My favorite race tracking that I've probably done to date, I had to talk about it. Like, I usually don't talk about non-Northeast stuff, but I had to talk about it. And I'm going to do a brief overview. Like, you watched it, you saw it. There's so much Western States content. My reaction to that was races are getting faster every year. Every year. Fueling, pushing the limits. It's getting faster. The most competitive year at Western States, the top 10 men and women were just stacked. The who's who. You know all their names. These women and men are just unbelievably fit. Could win any race anywhere in the world, and there's 10 of them in this race. And then you get the cool temps, and you're just like, oh my God. And to start off, obviously, just a few things I want to touch on. I think Hans Troyer, probably the person that most people were rooting for. Like, he is the people's champ, it feels like, coming up. Dude was going for it. I mean, we were talking about it. Is he insane? Does he know how, like, a wild man with a wild race strategy? He was 18 minutes under course record splits, like, so early. He was dropping sub 6 minute splits for a section, like multiple miles linked together. Dylan Bowman on the call. Just insane. I think I had a few people texting me like, what are the chances that he sticks it? I heard 75%. I thought it was maybe like 50-50. David Roach after the race was like, he's just that good. You know, people think it's wild and reckless. He is just that good. I believe that halfway. I believe also that was wild and reckless. And it was cool to see. And obviously it pushed the field to run so fast. When it was him and Jim and Poopy in the top three, that mid, oh my God, electric. Obviously, Killian dropped pretty early. Like, that was sad. I have some Killian thoughts. I guess Killian getting a little bit old. Is Killian getting a little bit washed, a little bit beat down, a little bit injured? Yes, obviously he is. 38. Still near his prime. But the knee thing, honestly, the knee thing really, I dislike. I dislike the knee thing. Because Killian was always like, he had crazy volume since he was a kid. He does crazy volume. He races everywhere, super fit. He knows the training. He doesn't do strength work. He does it kind of as needed, like, I'm just going to run because I can run more. And then it seems like when you do it methodically for a long time, you can outlast some of the injuries of an ultra. And I just think it's he's one of the longest standing people who had been racing every year consistently. And I think it's not a good thing in my brain to think like, if I run ultras until I'm 38, what's going to happen? Obviously, I have more runway, so I'm going to be in better shape, but I do think ultras, eventually you run yourself out. And then Jim, an injury pops up, so you're thinking like, when Jim got into the sport, he was like, I'm just going to burn bright, burn fast, and then get out. And he was like, no, I can sustain this longer. But then it's like, oh, actually, no, I can't. But those are two of the GOATs, obviously. Probably the two GOATs in mountain ultra running. So it was cool to see them on the start line. At least gets a bunch of buzz. Sad to see them drop. Like, I would have hoped that one of them could stick around with Hans to really give it a starstruck day. But I mean, Poopy's a star. Bouillard is a star. Obviously, Ryan Montgomery is a star. Zach Miller's a star. So it was still star-studded. So Hans go out wild and reckless. He helped the field. It was cool to see. It was exciting. You're like, how long can he hold it? He held it for pretty long. Tyler texted me and was like, when I saw Hans at mile whatever, I thought, dang, he's just going to dominate the sport of ultra running for the next 10 years, which could have been true, could have been cool. And then some other stuff. Vincent Bouillard, I mean, UTMB in Western States, like this. If you don't know him, you know him. People are making the meme. The Scott Jurek memes are so good at Western States. The Scott Jurek memes of his race photo were cracking me up. I was dying laughing at that. Poopy on the live stream. Everyone laughs at Poopy. No. Everyone's laughing on Poopy at the live stream. I was giggling a little bit. It was funny. But on Poopy Watch, Dylan Bowman on the call. But he's a stud, and I think it's interesting. Him and Poopy and Hans had two completely different mindsets going into it. Hans was like, before pre-race interview, this is the biggest thing. This is the biggest thing in the world for me. I'm putting all my marbles into it. And Poopy is like, I'm putting no pressure on myself. It's just a race. I don't want all that pressure. Hans wants pressure. Poopy doesn't. Now, I think, like, if you had all that pressure on you and it affected you in a negative way, you would have dropped earlier on than 70. Like, he led through for a long time. So I think if Pons drops 30 or 40 or 50 miles in, it's more like, and maybe the pressure did get to him, it was bad for him, but he was running fast and smooth before, like, so I don't know, but again, I just feel like less pressure that you put yourself in races, just open it up. Whatever happens, happens. Seems like you can have good performances. And that was the same mindset that Ryan Montgomery had going into it. He said, that guy, first off, he was probably, and this is in an amazing way, he was probably the biggest storyline, I think, as far as like someone that wasn't counted in the top times, and he freaking came in third, sub 14 hours. Was it sub 14? I forget his time. So insane. Lives in Hanover, New Hampshire, so he's in New Hampshire. I don't know if he's been here local for a long time, but he's from New Hampshire. I think I'm gonna try to get him on the podcast. Ryan, if you're listening to this, would love to chat with you. New Hampshire local. What do you think about these trails? Can we convince you to go out on any of these White Mountains 100 bounties? White Mountains bounties. Super cool to see him. And then Zach Miller's finish. This guy, tough as nails. I mean, how can Zach Miller is my favorite ultra runner. He's your favorite ultra runner's favorite ultra runner. Dude finishes every race. Same thing with Tara Dower. Like, those two I just think are so epic, and they might not have the top speed as quite as fit, but they run so hard. I would rather be them than anyone else in the lineup, probably. Just so cool to watch. So pump you up to watch. On the women's side, Jennifer Lichtner, so crazy. A course record in her debut. She beat Courtney's time by 1 minute. Now, I think, to me, Courtney's time, I kind of wish that held. Her split at the end of that race just being so unbelievable, inconceivable, impossible is awesome. And it was a hotter day, obviously, for her. So, like, coolness adjusted. I think that her run was more impressive, but super impressive for a debut. Jennifer Lichtner can do anything she wants, obviously, and has been doing it. And then I think Tara Dower's another one. Another story that I kind of, Molly Seidel, I think it's been an interesting to watch her be one of the fittest people in the world, women's Olympic marathon medaler, come into the ultra scene. Like, I was so impressed to see like a Tara Dower racing ahead of Molly Seidel. Like, people that cannot even get close to that fitness in marathon terms being faster than her on trails. And that goes like, that's no shade at all. I think it's awesome. I think it's when Courtney does her marathon, she's not really close to the top marathon times in the world. That just means she's tougher and better than running on trails with you, and just tougher than you, honestly, way tougher. So I think that was cool to see, and I love that Molly walked it out. Peter God style, immortal. She's going to have a big Western States one day, I believe. I would think. We'll see. So that's some of the Western States stuff. I love the live stream. I don't know why. The live stream has gotten a lot better. It's gotten awesome, but I just feel like I don't like the grainy, laggy footage. I would rather, if you don't have clear footage, don't show it and just show from an area that you have better footage. Because, like, they're talking about people, and I'm just seeing pixels. I'm like, this is horrible to watch. I'm just going to click off. That was my one gripe with it, but it was really cool that they're doing the live stream. The e-bike. I think the e-bike has changed the game. I think we just need a little bit better, like, Starlink GPS connection, and then this game, the live stream in Western States is going to be just so electric. But that's pretty much it. I don't even know how long this went, but this is definitely a long one today. Hope you enjoyed it. That was my thoughts on the White Mountains Bounties, Western States wrap-up. If you got something to prove and you want to win some money, get out on the routes. I think it's epic. We'll see you out there. Peace.